Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RHAPup here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and we are here to talk about episode 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 15. First, I just want to issue there is a St. Patrick's Day parade happening outside my window right now. I am hearing some weird mix of like bagpipes, drums, and tub thumping by Chumbawamba, which is for some reason being played by a band outside. So I have a condenser microphone. Hopefully that should prevent any issues. But just if there's any weird noises in the background, there's a St. Patty's Day parade. But thankfully, I am not alone. I have a fantastic panel with me every week, as always. First, let me welcome in Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you?
I'm well. Not currently dealing with a St. Patrick's Day parade, although there is one happening here in Philly, but it's like way downtown, so I'm good on that front.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, one of us has avoided it. Let's see if we can make it 2 for 3. Beth, any St. Patty's Day parades near you?
I'm looking at the window. I am not seeing anything in the middle of my side street in Brooklyn, so I think I'm good. I will say, when you said tub thumping, are you sure it's a St. Patrick's Day parade? Because I'm fairly certain that would be the anthem for a quote unquote straight pride. Like, I really feel like straight pride organizers, remember when they tried to do that in Boston? You know that they were going to go down the street like, I get knocked down and I get again. I'm convinced that's the straight pride quote unquote anthem.
So I've heard that song. I've heard the song from School of Rock, the one at the end where they're like all playing the music. They like go around. It's that song, I think Dropkick Murphys, but that might just be me stereotyping.
No.
So, but it's definitely a cover band for sure.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, great.
Okay. Well, look, there might be a lot of excitement happening outside my window right now, but there was so much excitement happening on this episode of Drag Race. We have a comedy challenge and a lip sync. Oh my God, for the ages. We will get into everything from this. Oh, and double winners. Okay, we can talk about maybe some drama could be associated with that. Oh my gosh, where do we start? Oh, no, actually, let's start with the main story. We're back to 90-minute episodes. Aman, how did you feel about the pacing of that, especially after having the hour-long episodes for the past 10 episodes?
It felt like coming home. It felt like we were sinking back into our usual routine. It was nice to actually get settled into an episode of Drag Race and not like be out of there like 30 minutes later. So I really enjoyed it. And you could tell that there was so much more that we've missed. It just made me think about much more that we've missed in the past episodes because they had to condense them. But yeah, this one felt really good. It felt nice. And I thought for a moment, I was like, oh my God, is it going to be really, really weird because there's only 7 queens left? Do we really need the 90 minutes now? But no, it still felt full and good. So I liked it.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. And I didn't really think that I didn't remember that it was 90-minute episodes. Like all of a sudden, it just like felt natural. Like I was watching it and I was like, oh, wow, it's so nice that we had a really full lip sync, like a really long lip sync. And we also had like a full runway. And I felt like there was a little bit more context to some of the arguments and those kind of things. So I really do think that while we as a collective fandom have complained about 90-minute episodes in the past, I really do think the show just benefits from 90-minute episodes. And I think, honestly, the reason why we were complaining so much last year with 90-minute episodes is because no one went friggin' home ever. So it's like 90-minute episodes, and for what? So when there's a payoff, I think it just feels so much better with the show.
Right. And I think for me, as someone who's like busy all the time, the hour-long Drag Race episodes felt like part of just my normal busy schedule of like, all right, chop, chop, like, let's get through this. Got to get this done. Let's be as efficient as possible. And this felt like it had room to breathe. So I echo everything that the both of you are saying, that it just felt like, okay, it's a Friday. I can actually relax and just sort of sink in and enjoy my episode of Drag Race. So very happy. Hopefully we'll never have to discuss this again because WeHo will get canceled and then we will just always have 90-minute episodes. It'll always be fun. Okay. Let's get into the Maxi Challenge for the week. Let's discuss this main meat of the episode before we get into some of the accoutrements. So as we discussed last week, this is a stand-up challenge or some type of comedy challenge where the queens are tasked with performing in front of a live studio audience for the bubbly Bublé, because I've been watching so much BB Can with all the Michael Bublé ads. Anyway, the bubbly comedy festival, and they're randomly divided into pairs. However, there is one person left out who then gets to choose whether or not they want to steal. Beth, how did you feel about this twist?
Y'all know I love when mess gets to happen. So I was here for this. I was like, this is actually really great because you can either thrive in a host and be like, you know what? I am a host in New York City, for example, and I have to keep people laughing by myself all the time. Like I have the comedy chops for this. Or you need a partner, you need a crutch, you need someone else that can be partially blamed for the jokes that you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I personally felt like this is a really great opportunity for somebody to really know what their skill set is and play the game strategically. And I think Selena did the right thing for sure. I think it was Adrian Celeste online that said, so she basically idled Marsha out here. And I was like, I love that as a comparison. But yeah, no, I really love when you get to have a little strategy. It's better than like choosing the lineup order. Like that is just so much better to play with.
And you can see how much time they spent on choosing the lineup order, right? Because like Anitra wins so many challenges, it was like, okay, you said the lineup order, a few set, maybe a mistress confessional, but otherwise, we spent way more time on this. Where Selena chooses, so Mistress and Marsha were initially paired together. Selena chooses Mistress, pulling her away from Marsha, essentially leaving Marsha all alone. Aman.
Yeah, I thought it was a smart decision. You definitely want to put yourself in a good position and also maybe disadvantage a few other people. And I thought that going with Mistress obviously was a good choice for her because, I mean, I would have thought initially Mistress, no, we got this in the bag. She's campy, she's funny, she knows what she's doing, she's good. We'll be good together. But we'll talk about it, but she kind of outperformed her in a little bit, so it made her even look a lot better. So I thought it was a great decision for her. And then leaving Marsha to her own devices, yeah, that was obviously the right call because girl was struggling.
Right. I think it was like a 1-2 punch of like being able to get somebody who you think you would work well with, who would be a strong teammate, and then also disadvantaging the one person who who talked about multiple times she was the most nervous for the comedy challenge. So obviously this is already going to put her in sort of this negative headspace. It did feel a bit like a Sabotage Marsha episode, especially because with Lux also at the mirror talk doing the whole thing about like, it would just be like the worst if you got in your own head and then you just bomb. Oh my God. Can you imagine if that happened?
I love that Lux does that in this like veiled, I'm trying to really like protect you from you kind of way, but it was clearly a mind game. And you know what? I don't blame her or anybody for playing mind games. The same way that like, you can go back and be like, Roxy was awful to Jinx, but there is something to be said about how like bitchy and awesome that was at the same time. Where like you see someone grasping at straws. Now I will say that someone like Roxy, for example, was clearly coming out of desperation, and Lux was just clearly coming from like I feel confident myself, so good luck kind of thing.
It felt like a cat playing with its food before it eats it. That's like a little bit of the vibe that I was getting there. Yeah. Okay, let's go through each of the teams and their performances. So we can start with Marsha. She was the one to open the show, is the one by herself, is the one who is the most nervous. So for each of the queens we got, and feel free to like lump in any commentary here because we did get Ali Wong, who was a guest judge, who and
she
Michelle
was amazing.
Oh, she was fantastic
all the time.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I mean, from the feedback that she was giving when they actually got to do sort of the walkthrough performance to then, her actual commitment as a guest judge, I think overall just someone who felt like she got the show and like knew what jokes to work with for the queens. Whereas like, oh my God, well, we'll talk about when we talk about Anitra, but like Michelle was just bothering me with her dismissal of Anitra's headache. So Marsha. Let's talk about her first. And what do you think overall? I mean, obviously she was very nervous, started the show as well, Aman. I feel like that's always a tough place to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were some zingers in there. I think that she had. I mean, obviously, she's been on Broadway. She's not a stranger to being on stage, but you could tell the entire time that there was like just such a disconnect in like how to thread your jokes together in a way that made people like want to continue to be along the ride with you. I felt like there were just too many empty spots of just like, was that a punchline, or what's going on there? So yeah, I think that she did okay. I think because she knows how to perform, it didn't bomb. But yeah, just imagine not being able to perform and being like, and that being your set, because that would have been like a total snooze fest. So yeah, I fell for her though, because like I said, I am notorious for always saying that comedy is hard. Improv is hard. Like it's not, it's really, really hard. So anybody that's able to do that kind of shit successfully is always like a marvel to me. So yeah.
I honestly think that she would have benefited because as an actor, she's a storyteller. I think that she should have taken the Mistress and Selena approach and like, let me tell a funny story. And I think that there's got to be things that she could have said from her time on Broadway or something that's happened to her in, a gay bar or something like that that would connect with the Drag Race audience. But I don't know. Like I respect trying to come up with reads and jokes for people, but if it's not a roast and it's just comedy, like give yourself the easy out and like what's a story that makes your friends laugh that's not an inside joke? And tell that on stage. Because she's charismatic enough and I do think she knows how to deliver something like a joke from like a script. So if you have a script that's a story that's from your own personal life, it's much easier to tell. So I don't think she did absolutely horrible, but she was one of the weakest of the night. And I do think that, again, not having anybody to run anything by makes it a little tougher when everybody else has a person that's kind of saying yes and no to other things. So,
yeah, I think the tough part, I mean, like actually writing stand up takes so much time and to have those jokes actually land. And so, you can definitely see her trying like the being up here is like puberty, now I'm a B cup or something. I don't even remember what the actual joke was, but like you can tell she's trying to write punchlines. The problem is that they weren't like funny. But again, like that's so tough. So I do think because she took the very traditional stand-up joke punchline, kind of rhythm to the whole thing, that if she had done more of the story thing, I think that could have worked. The other thing too, and I don't know how much because I didn't go back and like really reference how much she did or did not keep from the walkthrough, but definitely the Carson Ross joke, which Allie gave her a really great just do exactly what you're told. Like she told you the joke and she told you the stinger that you need to do after the joke. One, you changed the joke, and two, you didn't even have a stinger. So it's like you didn't follow the critiques that a literal professional comedian is telling you to do. So that makes me, I don't know. I bet it was one of those things where she thought, oh, this is going to be funnier. Girl, just do what you are told. Yeah. I don't know, like that's just a strategic part of it,
I bet a lot of these queens feel like they can't take something that's not theirs, that somebody like a judge gave them and said, here, you should say this as the line and do this. And I think a lot of people just internalize as like, well, I didn't really write that, so I don't really want to perform it.
Even though there's like tons of evidence on this show about doing exactly what the judges tell you, and
exactly
being like, just do it.
I honestly think that might be part of it too. The other thing that I think is like really difficult for a challenge like this is if you can look at a queen like Jinx Monsoon, for example, and when she was on All Star 7, a lot of the jokes she said on the show that got a lot of laughs are things she's said in clubs and on tour all the time. These were not new jokes from Jinx, okay? And when you have an arsenal of jokes that you can just twist for any situation, you're always going to be at an advantage because you're like, well, I have to come up with a comedy routine. Good thing I have experience doing this, right? Bianca Del Rio did the same thing. Bianca's been telling the same jokes for like 10 years now, okay? And that's when she's been on Drag Race. So really, for the past 50 years, Bianca's had the same jokes. But the whole point, and like the same jokes are always said on Drag Race. So like, all right, RuPaul's old. You know, he had a pet dinosaur. Like there's stuff there that you could just kind of recycle and use that other people have used throughout the time. And apparently nobody's going to clock you on that unless you wear, you know, a second pageant look of the season.
Yeah. Poor Marsha. I do wonder also if they had done something like they had done. We talked about this with season 5. If they had somebody host, like Marsha, I think would have done a fun job hosting. Maybe that would have been a better spot for her. But not the name of the game. And unfortunately, she was just a little bit of a disadvantage here.
Yeah.
Lucy and Lux are up next, and these are our double winners, which is hilarious because we do get a little bit of a through line of the whole, like, how many wins do you have when after the elimination, Lux says, oh, you have 3 Maxi Challenge wins about Sasha. Obviously,
so good.
A shot at Lucy. And of course, Lucy thinking she should have won. So I love the fact that they gave them a double win here. One, I mean, obviously they worked well as a team, but also just for the drama of it all. For like, if Lucy tries to talk about this, Lucy's gonna be like, yeah, well, I won too. Like, we're equal winners.
And so what?
Yeah, kind of obsessed with that move. Do you think that they were the strongest in the night, Beth? I think that's really the question here. They are the winners. Would you give that to them as well?
1,000%. They were the only two that I felt like both, first of all, were equal in terms of how many jokes they had, and their timing and their pacing was really good. I liked that both of them care so much more about winning that they were able to be like, I'm going to poke fun of you about this. And there'd be like, there might have been an internal moment where they were like, you bitch. But other than that, they were probably like, fine, if it's going to get a laugh, you're going to do it. And I love Lux's one line in the confessional where she was like, I actually am really looking forward to working with Lucy because she's going to tell me if something's not funny. She's not going to let me sync because she doesn't want to sync with me. And I really think, you know, you have put that conversely with Mistress going, well, Selena, if you're going to sync, I'm going to grab a life jacket and get out of here. Lucy's not going to do that in that moment because she knows that they're going to be stronger if both of them are funny. So I really felt like they worked well together. They were funnier. If I had to choose one out of the two, I would have said that Lucy was funnier than Lux if we had to choose one winner, but we don't have to. And I love the drama for that. And yeah, that's just, I didn't really think anybody else was that funny throughout the night in general.
Yeah. I felt like they definitely were the strongest. I think that they had like a set idea of what they wanted to go with, and they executed it well, and they bounced off of one another, and there was joke after joke after joke after joke. Some of them were a little corny, but they worked. And the audience seemed to really enjoy it as well. The audience the most engaged with the two of them. So I think I can agree with you, Beth. I think that maybe Lucy was just a touch more charismatic on stage than Lux was. I mean, we know that Lux really isn't like I don't think it's not her gig. Like, I mean, I think that comedy is really not her gig. She's more of just like a fashion look queen. I'll give you like good TV, but I can't. It's like what Jujubee always says. I'm a funny bitch, but I don't write jokes. So like, yeah. So I think they did a good job. I mean, the white jokes, so those are always going to get laughs, you know. So.
It's true.
Yeah, the how white do they get bit. It was of course like always a classic. I love that they, you know, the whole like tension energy that they decided to roll with that, right?
Yeah.
That totally fits.
Yeah.
Although the pure joy of Selena in the confessional when she realizes that Lux and Lucy had been fighting earlier that day, like that also made me happy. And so thankfully that didn't end up tearing them down and making it impossible for Lux and Lucy to work together. They used that to their advantage and were able to insert all of those, you know, snide comments back and forth. There was one moment, I think it was when they were doing the walkthrough with Allie, when Lucy inserted her joke about like Lux's only fan, like her one fan or something like that. And Lux like, oh, I didn't know you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Kind of like
that was
like
great.
A little bit upset about it. But of course ran with it because as you said, they were willing to do anything for the joke and willing to do anything to win.
Yeah.
And I think that made for a really, really great pairing. And clearly the other queens agreed as well. I mean, we get Sasha in the confessional saying, look, it's good. I can say when it's good. I don't like saying it, but I can say when it's good. So clearly it was like everybody who just responded super positively to this. I think it was pretty clear who the winners were going to be, especially, you know, individually they perform well, together they perform well, just all around they had a really solid handle on the set, and I think executed it in tip-top condition.
Yep.
Anisha,
sorry.
Beth, go ahead. No, go ahead.
We have to, if we're going to talk about their confrontation, though, we have to, Aman, how happy were you that Lux went in on Lucy about the lack of baby bump gate?
Woo! Oh my God, Lucy was so wrong. She was so wrong, and it felt so good to watch somebody skewer her, because you're wrong. She was visible. It would not have been a gag if we didn't see the baby bump. So the fact that she's really trying to argue this down, I'm like, do not disrespect Blue Ivy Carter that way. That bitch was there, okay? She was in that tummy, okay? How dare you? How dare you?
I loved how like kind of bitchy they both got, where they were like, well, I'm sorry, are you making fun of Beyonce right now? No, I'm making fun of you because you didn't have I was like, I was so gagged. I loved that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Why weren't you pregnant though? Like just when she just immediately comes to her, like, oh my gosh, yes, one of you. No, I know. Like, I know what it looks like. And then the shady editors pulling up the photo where you can like clearly see the baby.
It's a baby. There is a baby there. She is pregnant.
Man. As I watched that, I mean, I tweeted it out too, but I watched it and I was just like, it's like the editors knew that we would have a whole rant on the show with Aman last week and be like, you know what? There's going to be this moment. We have to make sure that we include this in the episode. And boy, I'm so happy they did.
I'm so happy they did too. It was like it was like I was there in the room. I was like, yes, get her, Jade. Get her.
Yeah, Aman was Lux in that moment. Yeah,
I love like, what do you mean? Like, oh, Beyonce gives body, so I just wanted to give respect. I was like, okay, she can still look fabulous and pregnant. Like,
that was like the point.
I mean, thank you, Liana. That was the point. The point is that she gave body, and she gave more body because there was another body inside of her. Like she had body squared, baby.
Oh my God. I'm just excited for Lucy to do Rihanna from the Super Bowl show and for her to just be completely corseted.
Honestly, like
completely corseted and like
have pregnant women reimagined, not pregnant.
Yeah, especially with that halftime show, of course, being like all the men who are the sperm and she's like the egg and the uterus and everything. Just like do the whole thing, but instead, no baby bump. Corseted, big boobs. Let's do it.
Exactly. I just want to respect Rihanna. Okay. Sasha and Anitra. I'm so curious to hear the two of your opinions on this because look, I'm not going to lie. I was not 100% sober when I watched this the first time and I was laughing, but I don't know exactly. That could have been due to other factors. I didn't think that they were as bad as the show seemed to make them out to be. I can still understand that there were awkward moments and not all the jokes landed. And clearly there were some things that were wrong with it. But for me, I thought it was funny.
Well, as y'all know, I do indulge in a little scientific research to see if substances help some of the Drag Race comedy. I did not do that this week because I've been fighting the cold flu, whatever. And I can say that sober and sick, it did not make me feel better. The comedy.
Okay.
I felt like it was, but here's the thing. Like, I love both Anitra and Sasha. So like, I think part of it for me was more like disappointment that they just didn't slay it. So like, I feel like that their bar for me is so high that anything less than, I just felt like it was just a little awkward. Once they kind of moved away from the stoner humor, it was actually much better.
Yeah. No. I did not. I didn't like it. I think that yes, the editing definitely made it a little worse because they wanted to try to paint a picture. So maybe it wasn't as bad as what we got. But I still think you can't really edit out applause and laughter. That didn't exist for them. It was like, I don't know. They sort of just like, they went, I mean, someone, and I tweeted that night, I was like, I think that Sasha Colby should have been in the bottom, and that's okay. Because I feel like the judges were just like not wanting to do it. And I feel like, I watched it back because a lot of people were like, well, no, I think that Anitra did worse than she did. I was like, I don't really think so. I think that Sasha had a bit more time, and they focused a little bit more on her section of the bits, but that only accentuated for me just how empty it was. And someone posted a tweet under mine saying like they basically took a lot from Mae West, like they did like literally her set from a couple of her shows. So I was like, okay, well I'm not gonna like subtract points for that because like we just said, you can use canned bits. A lot of the stuff gets recycled. So I think that might have been like an ingenious move, is to actually go for something that you know is going to work, go for something that's like familiar to the people on the show, something that would probably make RuPaul laugh. So I don't think that was a bad decision. But with that being said, the execution of it was so joyless. I don't know. It just felt very like
it was so put on. It was disingenuine. That's what it was. It was like, and honestly, that was a little bit of why I thought Lucy was funnier than Lux, is that Lux was like so put on because she was, it's not what we're used to seeing with her, as being like, aha. But I do think that the Sasha and Anitra dynamic was like, I think you're both supposed to be stoners like in real life, and I'm not even getting that you've ever smoked a joint before out of this. It's like
it was Jax, right? It was giving like Jax plays the stoner chick. Yeah.
Like let's be real. If you're going to take inspiration from one of your season 15 sisters, that was probably not the one to take inspiration from in terms of like learning how to act like a stoner.
Yeah, I didn't that part I just sort of like ignored, like the whole forgetful, like, oh, we're so forgetful, like that bit was like boring, but I enjoyed that. And now it's time for some canned bits. Like that's the kind of stuff that I thought was really funny.
That part was a good part,
yeah. And so then that's a place that they can insert some of those like previously, because I've heard sex is a lot like bridge. Either you better have a good partner or a good hand. Like I've heard that joke before, so that wasn't new. So, but it was still like, I don't know, just the way that they did it really made me laugh. The Michelle's balls were so big joke I thought was funny. This bit is lasting longer than Evie Oddly's dick. Like there were moments that I was like, okay, these are like somewhat clever things that I think that you've written. So to me, it wasn't as bad. I thought Mistress was worse for me personally, because Mistress to me was just bored. Like I was just bored. But we'll talk about that next. So I probably would not have put Anitra in the bottom personally, but also it gave us this lip sync. So I don't, this is more results oriented thinking. Because it was amazing. So maybe I would have put her in the bottom just to see the lip sync.
This might be really controversial for me to say. I think the bottom two should have been Sasha and Mistress. I think it was Marsha's time to go in the competition, and it makes sense, whatever. But if you're doing purely based off of this challenge, I think they were the bottom two.
Maybe.
Marsha kind of got shafted.
Not
kind of got shafted. Marsha got shafted.
Fully shafted.
And she knew it too. You could see on her face, she's like, it's time. They want me out. They want me gone. They want me gone. Which I always take issue with. It's like, why? Like they bullied the hell out of her this entire season.
Honestly.
But imagine the reality TV show moment of having Sasha versus Mistress in the bottom at this point in the competition.
And if you really didn't want to send either one of them home, you could have just made it a double Shantae. So like,
correct.
True. Exactly. Yeah.
Or send one of them home, and it's just like that. Let's be honest. If you were one of the front runners in the competition, or you were somebody who was so obviously going to be loved by the audience at home, you get sent home now, you end up having way more success than the winners most of the time. Mm-hmm. Just saying. I almost want to be the shafted queen who goes at 7.
The Rob G. Otis. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's either the 7, 6, or 5 spot. Like one of those, like you want to be the Katya, the Ben de la Creme, the, the Ms. Cracker, the like whatever people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have 2 more queens to talk about. Selena and Mistress. And so, as we know, Selena, we already talked about this, Selena was alone and stole Mistress. And they choose to do the story route where they're both going to tell stories about like dirty hookups. And the big punchline at the end is that it was the same man that they had hooked up with. So, Beth, I see you shaking your head. I see a little bit of a response. So, let's talk about this.
So it was something I saw a mile away, so I wasn't like shocked by it, and the delivery of the punchline was not funny to me. Selena, I thought, was able to take what the what Allie and Michelle had told her and really tailor down her story, made it funny. She's just got a loud, fun personality, and I thought she did really well. If there had been a third top person, she would have been that person for me. And Mistress, it's almost like she did exactly what the judges told her, Selena not to do, and just was like, okay, well, I'm not going to deliver it the way I did in front of the judges in the walkthrough. I'm going to do it. And I don't know if it was nerves that got the best of her or whatever, but everything from the details of the story, the way she told it, was not funny to me. And I know I said this with the Daytona Win Challenge, but it's that same like, just doing this kind of humor, like push my boobs up and I deliver lines like this. And that's just not funny to me personally. It may be funny to other people, and that's completely legitimate. So I don't know. Like, I've seen it before, like the kind of personality that you're trying to pull off too. So I just felt like it was canned, but not in a canned bit kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where's the bridge jokes?
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about Evie Oddly's dick again, please.
I mean, there's a reason that they have chosen Selena Estides to be the narrator of this season. I think we have the most DRs from her out of any queen. She's just, magnetic, just knows how to talk, just really, really inviting, and just makes you want to listen to the story. So I was like really engaged. I was like, oh my God, and then what happened? Oh my God, and then what happened? Oh my God. Like, I was like in it the entire time. And I feel like she could have won had it not been dragged down by Mistress being, she's also a one that's charismatic and fun to listen to, but it was just like one of those bits that just keeps going and going and going and going. It's like, where is the joke? So yeah, I felt bad for Selena because I feel like she was, especially like when she's like really, she had just come out of the bottom two. This could have been like a really good week for her to get some good trajectory going. And it's sort of just like she got dragged down by someone who she thought would be someone that would be great for her. So yeah, I mean, I liked it. I do think I go back and forth about whether or not Mistress should be in the bottom, because I think the way that the story was told and like the cleverness and being, oh, they hooked up with the same person. I really enjoyed that. The execution was bad, but she's still, charismatic enough for me to like be like, okay, was it horrible? I don't know. I think if anything, if they were going to lose as a team and win as a team, she got saved by Selena. Selena was really the one that carried them through that. So I kind of wish that Selena was the one to go second, so that way it would have been lifted up, and Mistress didn't bring it down. So
yeah, especially because that's the way we ended the show too, right? So it kind of ended on Mistress's very long-winded story. And I mean, I totally agree that it essentially swapped from the walkthrough. And we get this kind of like fake out where you see somebody struggling and then they do well, or vice versa. And I just feel like, Mistress somehow mistresses the points on what she was supposed to do, and included a lot of unnecessary detail. It felt a lot more like I did speech and debate in high school, and it felt a lot more like one of the stories that you tell when you're doing like dramatic interpretation or even humorous interpretation. Like, it's not like a stand-up sort of comedy show routine. It's like, I'm telling you this story and there are humorous elements to it, but it's not like, haha, I'm laughing kind of funny.
Yeah.
What was weird to me, and maybe I misunderstood the judges' critiques, because I felt like they were still positive towards Mistress. Like, did I I felt like they didn't really critique her all that much in terms of, oh, you went on too long, this was bad. I don't know. Like, my reaction to watching it versus the judges' critiques felt very different to me.
No, it definitely felt like that. And it definitely felt like we're not going to put you in the bottom, even though we should. Like, it was like,
yeah, exactly.
We're going to, it's your lucky Marsha is gone. So
Yeah.
Yeah. They just wanted to get rid of her. Oh, and the Rusical is next too.
I mean,
damn. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. There's a theory that a local queen here in New York, Adriana Trenta, who's a friend, has been saying for weeks, which is that they are getting rid of queens the week before they would do well in a challenge. And if you look at every single one, like literally almost every single queen is gone the week before they would have killed the next challenge.
Yeah. Because otherwise they have to justify keeping them or like send somebody home that they don't want to send home.
Exactly. And they're like, well, okay. Because I just feel like in general, this season feels very overproduced of like who the final's going to be. Like, I mean, I will be shocked if Selena doesn't go next week kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, now that Marsha's gone,
else going.
Who's left? You know what I mean? Like out of that top
Lucy.
6 people, I don't know. She just won. I feel like Lucy's either the robbed 5th place person who doesn't go to the final episode, or she's in the top 4. And I could say that about Lux, Anitra. I feel like Anitra
could go because she's been in the bottom twice now.
Yeah, I feel like Lucy and Anitra are fighting for that last like spot for the finale right now, right? And I feel like Selena's the obvious next person, and then it's either Lucy or Anitra. And I feel like it's just like I shouldn't feel that way. I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's been overly produced.
Well, that, and I would say Mistress to me has been underperforming. And I do feel like she was someone who early on, I thought she's being robbed. Oh my gosh, she's definitely going to win. And then these past 2 weeks I've been like, okay, wait, hold on. Yeah. So I like almost part of me is happy about the production rigatory because I'm hoping that she'll be able to recover from this, because I do think that what we've seen in totality for the whole season has been really strong. But at the same time, like, she could have been in the bottom last week. I think she could have been in the bottom this week, or it's justifiable at least to see her down there. So it definitely feels very overproduced. I mean, we talked about this 3 weeks ago when it was like Malaysia or Marsha or Selena. Like, one of the next 3 is gone. Probably in the next 3 weeks, those 3 queens are going to go. So that just leaves me a little bit disheartened because it feels very predictable and feels very favoritism driven that they're, pushing these particular queens, not just Sasha Colby, which does feel like that a little bit, but some of the other
just give Sasha Colby the win already. We knew it was going to happen from the moment that they put her on the damn show. Just end it already. Goodness gracious. Ugh.
Oh my God. I have been seeing more of the Sasha Colby is going to replace Rue. I have now seen that. Beth, now that you've mentioned it, I now see it like in every comment on every like TikTok that I see.
I have a way of infiltrating your algorithm.
I know it came through. It like my phone heard you. It knew what comments to start pulling.
I'm a part of the Illuminati that is here for it. So sorry about it.
I feel like what they would do is like, I feel like RuPaul maybe like does like 3 more seasons or something, and then he decides to retire, and then I think that Michelle Visage becomes the main judge for a time, and then they transition into giving it to one of the other queens. I would say, I mean, everyone seems to think that Bob the drag queen would be the best at it. I think that he would be amazing, but I don't know if Bob wants to do that. I don't know if Bob wants to be tied down to a show like that. That feels like very restricting to someone who is about to be opening up for Madonna. So like it's I don't know. Sasha Colby, I guess. I mean, I'm not as familiar with Sasha Colby as a lot of other people in the community are. I consider her to be more of a performer from what I understand about her and her career and her influence, and not so much a host. So who knows?
Well, we've seen, let's see. So, I mean, it started with Brooklyn Heights hosting Canada, and then Nikki Doll hosting France. I mean, we're seeing
Jigglypuff is not hosting, but is Jigglypuff. Good job, Beth.
Like the Pokemon?
Jiggly Caliente?
Yeah.
Wow. The disrespect. Wow.
Oh my God.
Somebody send this to Jiggly right now.
I'm so sorry, Jiggly. Oh my God. I have Pokemon on the brain, apparently. No, she's not hosting, but, Jiggly Caliente is on Philippines. Oh my
And I
God.
think, is it
Rita
true that
also, I think.
Valentina got tapped to do Mexico? Is that true?
I'm not sure, though. I can't.
I will watch the shit out of that. I'm such a Valentina stand down. So if that's true, I'm definitely watching.
I would love to see her just be like, "You're not giving me my French vanilla fantasy right now in this outfit."
I want to see it so
Yes. Yes. So the point is that obviously they are willing to put Pokemon and other queens in hosting roles. So, obviously this isn't like, we need to hire someone from the outside, right? We're sort of doing this internal hire kind of thing. So I could see that being true for whatever Rude decides to do. I don't know. I think she's going to keep doing it as long as she can, to be honest. It feels very Jeff Probstian to a certain extent of like, I own this show. I am the executive producer now.
Okay, hear me out. What if Monet Exchange replaces Jeff Probst and Bob replaces RuPaul?
Yes. That's all I've ever
Sibling
wanted.
rivalry, baby.
I also, not gonna lie, I kind of just made myself giggle a little bit because I could think of, in my head, somebody being like, did you hear that Jinx is going to be hosting Drag Race? And they're like, Jinx Monsoon? They're like, no, Jinx the Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's my mind's a really weird place.
Yeah, we're just gonna send you outside to play Pokemon Go. We'll just enjoy, Beth. We'll talk to you later. Pokemon Go to the polls. Okay, let's discuss the runway, the Rip Her to Shreds runway. Are there any looks in particular that either of you want to discuss for good or bad reasons?
I felt like Marsha's was a little tame. Didn't feel like drag enough to me. So that paired with her performance in the challenge, no wonder that she was placed in the bottom. Obviously, here comes Lux again, being teacher's pet and really catering her looks to RuPaul and made him fucking cry. So of course she won. It's like you just keep paying homage to RuPaul, and that'll get you to the end. So, but I think obviously it was a smart decision, and it looks great. So I think she did a great job. I loved Sasha's look. Oh, I love a good denim look like that. It was so sexy, so just looked so good on her. And yeah, I think Rip Her to Shreds was definitely the inspiration for that one. Everyone at the bar loved Lucy's look. And I thought it was cool. I wasn't wowed by it. It kind of gave me more like horror than just focusing on shreds and rips. But I guess that kind of is one and the same. I guess you can make that. I didn't really understand Anitra's look that much. I get that it was shredded, but it wasn't. I don't know. It gave me more like spider web than like rips, just in my head. But yeah, I thought it was a nice runway. Mistress was okay for me.
I can't even remember what Selena wore.
It's forgettable to the judges too. They didn't particularly like it either. I can't get over Lucy, the cut that they keep doing in the promos to Lucy. Just like her face always just made me laugh. I don't know. There's something about it that there's something about the face. It's it looks bad.
It looks like she gave herself a botched lip job and then took really thin makeup to put over it on the lip, even though it's supposed to be a dark purple. I don't know why. And I think from afar, from a stage, that's going to look fine. But up close, I'm like, oh, I really don't think you did a good job here.
Did she not blend it on purpose?
I think so. And I think that's fine. You can do intentional not blending, whatever. But if you're going to use that kind of liquid lip, or gloss, you got to make it so it looks fully covered, because it doesn't even look like an ombre or highlight in the lip. It just looks like you didn't cover your lips correctly.
I mean, clearly
she looks crazy. She looks unhinged.
Yeah. But that's fine, right? That's fine. If you clearly not doing glam, if you want to do scary, I'm good with that too. But it has to look scary, not goofy.
Right.
This looks like one of those things that's supposed to haunt you as a child, but isn't actually that scary, and you just kind of laugh at it. That would be my reaction to seeing something like this. Maybe that's what she's going for.
But here's the thing, okay? If you're gonna go for that, go for it. go for it. I feel like it's not pushing it far enough in the face. And I don't know if it's because, you know, I love Dragula, and if they're going to do anything, they're going to take a look like this and they're going to go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was for me. It was like having seen a full season of Dragula and then seeing Lucy come out. Like, I guess I've been spoiled because I'm just so used to people going all the way with that kind of shit. So to me, it felt very tame.
And I don't know why. And I think it's... I'm sorry. I hate the skirt length in the front. It is so short. And it should not be. That should go to your knees. I don't know why. Like, this style just really frustrates me. And her like, the fact that her shoes blend in with everything, like, I don't know. I don't know why. The whole thing makes me angry.
It's all one. Okay, the more I look at it, the more I hate it. And it's all like one color. Like, her hair and the outfit are all one color, and their face is like bright white. She looks like a founding father that got electrocuted. Like, Benjamin Franklin went out there and got hit with the key and the kite.
But here's the thing: if she painted her face to be that exact same color instead of that white, I actually would be on board with it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because even her hands, her feet, her shoe, everything is that color, that like tan.
Again, it's the attention to detail that the girls on Dragula do so effing well that it's not here. And like, I would love for like the distressing, like the color distress on the shoes as well. Like, if you're going to have it on the bottom part of the skirt and the corset's going to be a slightly different color, you should have some of that on the shoe just to show me that. But I don't know. I just think that I'm being really, really harsh on her. But like, in general, I was not blown away by literally anybody except for maybe Lux. But again, I felt like that was just really kissing up at this point. I just felt like everybody, I was like, I don't really like this runway, to be honest.
I think I agree with Aman on Sasha's. I really liked Sasha's, and maybe it's just because of the whole like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, like full denim moment that it kind of reminded me of. So
Can you bring it back up?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I won't lie, I watched the runway twice, and both times I got distracted when Sasha came up and like could not remember what she watched or what she wore. And then like when she was on the runway, they lined up for judging. They spent 3 seconds judging her and they moved on to the next person. So that's on me.
Her crotch in the right side, but the left side you can get a good shot of it.
Her crotch.
Ignore this.
Lovely.
Yeah. So that's what it was giving me, like a ripped up version of Britney. So I was on board with that.
Yeah, this is fine. It's not my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying it's gonna like win any.
No.
Yeah.
I just think in general this is a really hard runway to work with, and in terms of theme, and I just wasn't overly blown away by anybody.
Right.
Well, let's talk about something that I was overly blown away by, and that is the lip sync here. So as we already talked about, Lucy and Lux are our double winners. Anitra and Marsha end up in the bottom two, and they get Boss Bitch by Doja Cat, which fantastic. I don't even know where we start. Do we start with the Free Willy bit? Do we just start with the whole essence of it all? Do we start with the question of should it have been a double Shantae? Because I've seen that going around as well. Aman, kick us off on this lip sync.
I do not think that it should have been a double Shantae. I think that Anitra clearly beat her in this lip sync. I think that she put up a great fight. But yeah, I think from the moment that Anitra dived over her like that, it was a wrap. Like the whole bar was like, oh my God. Like,
she dove over her. Yeah, she dove over her on the word float. It was incredible. Like, iconic.
It was so good. Yeah, I think that Anitra once again is just like a marvel on that stage. The way that she moves her body is just definitely one of the greatest lip syncers in Drag Race history. I'm fairly certain to say that. I mean, we've seen her lip sync like 7 times now. So yeah, she's just fantastic.
I love watching her move. I am just like the way that she so effortlessly throws her body in such a controlled fashion around the
Mhm.
stage, because that's really what it is. Like we'll discuss the mini challenge afterwards, but I think about Selena kind of like flopping everywhere, and then I think about Anitra and like the way that she just controls her body is so impressive. And I agree with you. I think also just from a storytelling and editing perspective, the show is done with Marsha.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
ran out of the makeup storyline apparently, and they're just like, we're bored with you, get out. So I think it would have been doing probably Marsha even a disservice to keep her around for another episode. And I
Mhm.
think Anitra definitely, while Marsha did well, Anitra just did top tier, excellent,
Mhm.
amazing, nailed this.
And
Mhm.
on top of that, we just had a season where the entire fandom said, no one ever went home. How come you're saving everybody? Blah, 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 blah. Like, listen, if there was one lip sync that I felt like should have had a double Shantae, it's this one. And I even amend my thoughts on the Anitra versus Sasha lip sync in the middle of the Lollapalooza to say, if we had to have one, it should have been this one. But
Mm.
that being said, it's because of the story of it, right? If they had both gotten saved with this, I don't think people would have liked the lip sync as much. I think that part of the reason why this lip sync was so good is that there was a lot on the line. There was someone's going home. You have two incredible performers. You have it's just a really good song. The stakes are what make this really good. And if
Mhm.
both people stay, like, yes, people are going to be happy, but it does almost feel like it would have been like, oh man, part of what makes watching Drag Race fun and is getting emotional about the things that should have been. But when you get them, we're not always grateful for it. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with you. I think I probably would have given the double win to Sasha and Anitra. Like, I would have preferred it to have happened then than happen here. I think this was Marsha's time to go. Unfortunately for her, because it would have been fun to see her in the musical. But look, the show didn't want you to succeed. Okay, sometimes we're fighting against these larger issues.
Correct.
Bye.
Show says bye. All right. Let's talk about a few other things, little snacks from the rest of this 90-minute episode. And one of those being the mini challenge. We get a full-on mini challenge, which I do feel like they've probably filmed mini challenges for every single one of these episodes.
Oh,
They're
for
just
sure.
choosing whether or not to air them.
Well, they had to choose the ones that Lucy won so that her context.
Oh, so that would make sense. Oh my God. If we see another mini challenge, I'm going to be like, oh my God, Lucy wins this.
Does Lucy win this?
Does
That's
Lucy
the
win
only
this?
reason why we're seeing
We
it now?
need it for the storyline. Yeah.
I'm convinced they literally put the ones that she won in the show and nothing else, so that when it got to that point, they were like, well, we have to cut this down to 60 minutes. We got to keep this in here because this is going to be a point of contention in episode 11.
Oh my God.
Whoever runs the Drag Race Wikia page, you should change the scoreboard so that it's like win on the ones where she's won the damn mini challenge just to troll her. I would think that's so funny.
God, so good.
Yeah, that'd be so funny. So we do get to see a mini challenge here with the Vogue ball, 15 minutes to get into quick drag, and then we get a full voguing ball, which I don't know if you guys saw Aja's response to the original voguing with Anitra, that she was like critiquing her and like upset with her and like kind of creating this beef kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I love the joke that then the show just did obviously they would never know, but the show just decided to do a full voguing challenge. I feel like
that's what's so funny is that it's not just an Aja thing. Basically, the whole ball scene is just like, what is Drag Race doing? This is not this is not a good representation of our culture. And then the fact that there's actually a challenge afterwards, I was like, because like even people like Leomi, if anybody watched Legendary, Leomi's like, they call it nogging. Of what people are doing on Drag Race. They're saying like, this is this is not real voguing, what they're doing. And so I do think that there's something that should be interesting to listen to. So obviously I'm going to defer to the voices from the ball scene on this one, but I do agree that it's really funny that there was like, after this whole conversation at the very beginning of the season about nogging, there's a whole nogging challenge.
Yeah. And they included it. They also had to include it maybe because of Anitra setting the order, because she does ultimately end up winning here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was fun. Sasha obviously steps in with all of her hairography. Mistress makes fun of that, which was enjoyable to see her
Mistress
just sort
was
of
so
play.
funny.
Yeah, I think it's just nice to see the queens in their element and just get to know these really charismatic and fun personalities. And any opportunity that we have to do that, I think is such a joy.
Yeah. I loved watching it. It was a lot of fun to see all of their personalities come out in that way. So yeah, it was fun.
And we got more of the drama with Lucy and Lux, because I think it was Lux who was like, yeah, Lucy keeps saying she has all these tricks and she did a cartwheel.
Yeah.
That's me. I'd be like, yeah, I have so many tricks. I did cartwheel.
Oh, so good.
Okay, let's see. What else? Oh, I forgot to rant about Anitra and Michelle, where Michelle was just like, yeah, your pain's invalid. That was so weird for her to just be like, yeah, you can't worry about the headache. It's like, you don't know what she's going through, a migraine right now, and you're just going to tell her that she just needs to like work through the pain. That seemed like such a weird approach to take.
Just will it away.
But also, Michelle has had nothing but a whole platform for the amount of pain that she's been in for years. And like her, Hashimoto's and like all these other things that she has going on. It's just like, how dare you take somebody else who has like a migraine? Like, migraines are not a headache, okay? Like, they are very severe. And yes, an ocular thing. And I know that you understand what that is like because you just said it, but ocular migraines are so distracting. I get them like probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, she was wilding.
Like, what are you talking about, Michelle? That was weird.
Yeah.
Michelle Visage, we love her to death, but sometimes it's like always like twice a season where she just says something egregious and we're like, you okay? You okay?
What you doing? What you doing? Huh?
Sorry, there's a marching band outside. They're so loud right now.
Oh, we hear it now. We didn't hear it before. I
didn't hear it, but then all of a sudden I heard the from the drums.
That is a long ass parade. Did they like loop back around?
No, the problem is that the staging area is right where we live. So we get literally everybody, and then they're all practicing, which is fine. I get it.
Yeah.
But now I've learned my mistake. Do not schedule St. Patty's Day parade. Do not schedule a podcast.
Okay, but why are they doing the St. Patrick's Day parade 5 days? But like the St. Patrick's Day is on a Friday.
I know, right? No, well, because I think the rain delay date is next week. We had this whole conversation at work about it because they shut down all the streets when we can't get to our building and stuff. So anyway, it's like a whole thing. Okay, yes, I'm about to have an ocular migraine from all the sounds that are happening outside. Okay, let's see. What else? Is there anything else from this episode that either of you would like to discuss before we wrap things up?
No, not really. I'm like we said before, it's getting down to the wire now. We're kind of like aware of like probably who's going to be in the top. Selena's probably going to be the next to go unless she miraculously pulls out a win, which she could. You never know. But yeah, it's just kind of like at this point, it's like now Lucy and Lux both have 2 wins. They're right behind Sasha, who has 3. So depending on who wins the next challenge, it could be a tie-up. It could be Mistress getting her 2nd win, and then we'll see who gets the last 3rd win to tie up Sasha, or it could just be Sasha's going to win. She's going to win the fucking season. So at this point, it's just like a race to who's going to be 2nd place. So that's kind of what I'm
I feel like this week was the week where if they were ever going to put Sasha in the bottom, it would have been this week. Now, she was in the bottom 3, right?
Yeah.
But I think that kind of solidified her win to me. Yeah. She had her moment where she was a little weaker, but she didn't get into the bottom. So I don't know. I just think that
and it's going to be a Rusical next. Like she's going to slay that down. So it's like,
right. That was her moment of vulnerability that we got to saw. Like a little bit of there. What I do wonder about is how the end formatting of the season is going to work, because we did have 5 people in the finale for season. Oh my 14. God! For season 14,
the never-ending season.
I wonder what's going to happen ultimately at the end of this season. If we're gonna, are we going to go down to 5, 4, 3? I have no idea. I haven't bothered to do the drag math on counting the episodes yet, but it just seems so early to be ending so soon. So I would imagine that we would go down to a final 4, if not a final 3. I mean, God, I don't even know, because we've been changing the format now with the past couple seasons.
I imagine it's the final 4, because I don't think they're going to do a double Shantae. Because if they did, then it would have been this week. I don't see them doing a non-elimination episode at this point. That'd be really weird. So
we don't know how many episodes there's supposed to be, right? Like,
well, we're at 11, and I would imagine that the minimum is 14. So if you did 12 as the final 6, 13 at the final 5, reunion, and then the finale.
So I think, okay, so based on Wikipedia, so the next episode is going to be Wig Loose, the musical. Then we have teacher makeovers. So we're getting a makeover challenge at final 5. So it's be final 6, final 5. Then Blame It on the Edit is the next episode, which would be a final 4, which they could either save both, or it's like a non-elimination episode, kind of like what we saw with like season 9, for example, where it was like everybody survives and then they all go down onto the finale, which would potentially be episode 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely thought that was Puya singing in the background.
No, there's like a DJ. It's like clearly a DJ from a radio show that they have started setting up, because it's like, it's not enough from WBIC and we're out here on the same.
They are fucking going in over there.
I know.
Wow.
They're going ham. Look. Okay. Well, obviously I have a parade to go enjoy. So let's get out of here. As I mentioned already, we've got the musical next week. We're talking about Wig Loose. And yeah, I mean, Untalked, really not much that happened. I mean, we get, Marsha being upset, sorry girl, and then some family moments, which are always like nice for the queens. Happy that they get to have them. Okay.
I'm excited for Wig Loose. My senior year of high school, we did Footloose, and I was the lead, so it'll bring back a lot of
a star over here.
So I will be critiquing the hell out of them.
Well, I also like how perfect to have Wig Loose at a time when drag's being outlawed everywhere. Like, this is just like so
oh my God,
weirdly prophetic.
Oh my God. I saw one that's like Texas. Which, by the way, we should talk about this. It's our like social responsibility. Mm-hmm. There was also a law in Texas that was like, it's another like bounty. Like, they did the bounties with abortion. Like, they want to do bounties for like drag performers, but it's also like very vague the way it's worded. So oh my God. Yeah. There's like,
at this point, that particular law doesn't seem to have enough to even bring it up as like for conversation. But the fact that it's even being proposed, like, it is absolutely let me just speak very frankly. If you are an ally to the LGBTQIA plus community, and if you've been in a drag bar, you've been to queer spaces, and you are not actively saying anything right now, your silence is deafening. You're not an ally. If you are a queer person who is not trans, and you are not saying something for the trans community, like, what is wrong with you? Like, we have to be not just like vocal on social media. We've got to be talking to your local politicians. You have to be putting forth an effort to find ways that you can help honestly subvert these laws.
It's getting weird. It's getting very weird. Like, bounties for drag queens and then people propagating these videos that aren't even real of like drag performers going and performing in front of like 5-year-olds. Like people are like inserting drag queens into positions that they're not even in, which is only going to further incite violence against them. It's to the point now where I'm like afraid to even go to a fucking drag show, is because there's going to be some maniac that wants to kill a drag queen. Like, yeah. And that might sound crazy, but it's really not, because it's America we live in,
right?
And it happens. So it's like,
you can't outlaw a person. You cannot outlaw an identity. When you do, it just leads to genocide at the end of the day. And so we need to understand that this is all of a form of violence, and anything we can actively do, we should be doing. And if you have suggestions of things that the three of us could be doing on this podcast, please send them our way, because we also, even though it's a smaller platform, we have a platform. So whatever we can do, you'd let us know. There are 8 states in the United States that so far in 2023 have not put forth anti-trans legislation. 8. And we're in March 12th. So plenty of year ahead to see if somebody, like, one of those is Alabama. Alabama's going to come up with something soon. So like, we have to be doing stuff not only to protect our trans siblings, but also in our drag performers that obviously we love so much on this podcast. They're coming for gay marriage next. They've already come for women. They will come for you eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't say anything now, you aren't going to.
It's going to be you next.
It's going to be you next.
And I'm glad that RuPaul finally said something, because there was a lot of critique about whether or not obviously he should have said something a little sooner. But I'm glad that eventually they did make the decision to put a statement forward, because it's, girl, you don't have a platform without these queens. So you got to fight for them.
And I think one thing that even Ru said in her video was like, vote means so much more than a social media post. Not that the discourse on social media is not important to continue to echo those feelings, but also voting and getting involved in local legislation is like so critically important, because that's where these things start, right? It starts in the local community, and it just like eeps and like seeps in everywhere. It's absolutely ridiculous. If there are any local charities or any charities that anybody has, I'm trying to look right now. I mean, obviously there's the big ones, Trevor Project, all that kind of stuff, that you can, ACLU. If you have financial resources, exactly, ACLU, that you can donate to. That obviously is also very helpful for people who are on the ground trying to fight this and prevent this from becoming a thing. We have to use our voices in unison to help prevent this absolute bullshit from happening. Like, it's just
absolute bullshit.
Exactly. It's terrifying. It's frustrating. And like, my heart goes out to everyone who is impacted by this. I mean, all of us are, to be honest with you. So anyway, keep fighting the fight. Hopefully we can make some inroads and actually prevent this bullshit from happening. So yes. Okay.
Yep.
Ugh. Okay. I'm just so mad thinking about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like, I feel like the war drums behind me outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, bitch. Oh my God.
They better not play Chumbawamba now, because that would just be just like after all of that. Seriously.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do our plugs. Aman, get us started.
You can find me everywhere at Aman Adwin. Just chilling right now. I did unfortunately miss the draft for Big Brother Canada, but I plan to be back. I think I'll be on tomorrow. So we'll still be doing the roundtables for Big Brother Canada 11. So you can find me there.
Okay, perfect. Beth.
You can find me at AugustaWind11. You can also catch me on my weekly meltdown. We're talking a little bit about Drag Race, or not Drag Race. Nope, we're not even talking about that. We are talking about Survivor. And BB Can 11. We'll probably have our first coverage for that next week.
Okay, perfect. And you can follow me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. Masked Singer is going on, so Puya and I are doing coverage for that, which was really fun. Also, Mike Bloom and I recorded the B&B with Maggie Morgan. We get into everything buff or snuff. So if you are a fashion aficionado, you can come check out that as we discuss everything from tattoos to t-shirts on Survivor. And also, I am joining the BB Can coverage on Tuesday to do an episode recap, and we've got 2 daily drops so far. So we'll see if we get any more. Maybe Aman can help introduce us to everything that happened on the weekend. That does it for us. Thank you to our whole RHAP team for all their help behind the scenes, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.